Today I'm going to talk about the Vandenreich arc, aka the Quincy arc, but it's actually called the Thousand Year Blood War arc, but whatever. So today I'm going to recap that from, what chapters were they again? I believe they started at, let me check which chapter it started at. Yeah, I don't remember, but it was, I believe there's been about 12 or 13 chapters so far of this arc, maybe a little more, less, but whatever. So I'm here to recap those chapters and tell you my thoughts on the arc so far. So, yeah, let's begin. First of all, the previous arc, the Fullbring arc, that arc kind of bothered me. I mean, it was alright, but I would say it's my least favorite arc. I like it even less than the first arc, the Shinigami arc, just before the Soul Society arc, because, I mean, at least that arc had some better plot development than this arc, because it just went too slow. I didn't really care for the Fullbringers. No, I'm not a Ryuka addict. I don't really care for Yukio. All the Fullbringers are ridiculously weak, with the exception of Tsukishima and Ginjo, so that's, wow. But I did like, as it started rolling along, it took a really slow start, but eventually it got better. Like, for example, we have the fights that happen towards the end with, spoiler alert, Ginjo's betrayal. And that's when I was just like, damn! And then the arc just really started hitting it for me. And then the fights, especially the ones between Byakuya and Tsukishima and Ichigo and Ginjo, were great matches, I would say. The remainder of the matches, I didn't really give a shit about. I mean, the Rukia and Rukia fight, that pissed me off big time, because Rukia comes back after this 17-month that break, that time skip, and she doesn't get anything but technically tying with Ruruka, if you want to call it that. I mean, that was just pathetic. And I mean, I want to say Ikaku's fight was lame, but he didn't go Bankai, but he didn't need to, at least. That just goes to show you how pathetic some of them are. Toshiro, I don't even think he had to go Shikai. I think the ice that he used was just him waving a sword around. I don't know if he had the ability to use ice before using Shikai. I don't remember, but even if he didn't, it may be something he developed over the time skip. But regardless, he didn't even have to use anything to beat Yukio after gaining that power boost from Ichigo. So that was just ridiculous. And Kenpachi just slaughtered Kiriko in just one hit, so that was every fight was pretty pathetic, with the exception of Byakuya and Tsukishima, which pissed me off because Tsukishima made Byakuya look like a little bitch for the first half of the match. But hey, he got revenge eventually. And Ichigo Ginjo fight was alright, but it was too short. It just felt like there was too much going on in between the fights. I haven't really seen the anime version, but I'm going to assume it's a little better. So, fight scenes usually are, in my opinion. So, that arc ended, and now we have this arc. And it started out pretty decent. I was worried that I knew it was going to be better than the Fullbring arc, because I knew the Fullbring arc was just a small mini arc to establish Ichigo getting his powers back. It's not technically filler, but the only reason it was there was just to get Ichigo's powers back and to sort of delay it and whatnot. He needed a reason and a way to get his powers back, so there's that. But wow, all that just for that, but fuck it. So we start off with the 1,000 Year Blood War arc, and like I said, I expected it to be better than the Fullbring arc, but not quite as good as the previous two major arcs, because I had heard that Kubo was sort of in a slump with his writing, and I was worried, wow, I mean, after Aizen's defeat, I mean, what really is there to do? I mean, in a way, I felt like Bleach should have ended after the Aizen fight, and that the Fullbring arc sort of ruined it and just added extra material that was technically canonical, but seeing what this arc has to offer, I'm not so much in that mood anymore. And now people who think that, well, are eating their words, so to speak, because this arc is starting out actually quite well. Definitely starting out better than any of the other arcs just by starting, but we'll see how it turns out towards the end. And I heard that this is going to be the longest arc, and I really hope not, because truthfully, I would like Bleach to end soon, so I can just I like when things end, because, I mean, I just like to know that they're over, and then I can just sort of enjoy it from start to finish, and the ending is just going to be fantastic for imagine any anime or manga you've ever read, and the ending was always fantastic. There you go. So, it starts off with hollow disappearances, and now for those of you who don't know, or do know, whatever, we know that Quincy's are behind this to some degree, to all degrees. I'm not really exactly sure what the deal is going on with the Arrancar Quincy hybrid bullshit, if that's what they are, but in the case of Yvonne, but whatever. But the hollow disappearances, I never really considered that it may be the Quincy's, because, I mean, they're flipping out over hollow disappearances. Why would that be? It would have to be someone other than Shinigami killing them. So, I mean, and they said in the beginning of the series that basically the balance between the material world and Soul Society basically will be fucked over if the Quincy's continue to kill hollows, because their arrows don't cleanse the souls of the hollows, unlike Zanpakuto, and basically the souls that are evenly distributed between the Soul Society and the world of the living, they sort of they balance each other out, and basically getting rid of those souls would mean what's it called? Basically, one side will tip over into the other. Basically, the barrier in between will collapse, and then Soul Society and the War of the Living, I would imagine, would go like just splat into nothing. So it'd be the end of existence, basically. So that's the reason why they were terminated. So that's, if hollows were to constantly disappear for that reason or a similar reason, then it would make sense that there'd be so much chaos going around in the Soul Society like there was in the 12th Division. But I didn't put it together. I didn't put two and two together. I just didn't think of the possibility of Quincy's. And the thing is, I wondered, because I noticed there was Shinigami in the first major arc, and you have Arrancar in the next major arc. I didn't even consider that maybe Quincy's would come back, and I always wondered more about them as the series progressed, as I learned more about Ryu and Ryuken and their powers and their history. I never even thought of it, so I was just like, wow, okay then. So, anyway, you see Mayuri's new look, and it's interesting, to say the least. I can't say it's my favorite look. I think personally I prefer his original look, but I don't mind his Arrancar era look. We'll see. It depends on how this, because you only see it in a couple of panels, so we'll have to wait until he gets some action in battle or gets more scenes to himself before I can really judge. So, and he says it's only them and them alone that are doing this, and I'm like, okay, so it's someone that Soul Society, or at least the 12th Division, has knowledge of. So who could it be? I still didn't conclude that it was the Quincy's. Sad for me, but anyway, that started out great. That scene made me go, wow, okay, shit's already happening. We're not going to go slowly into like the Fullbring arc or anything like that. So I was happy. But then you got Yuki and Shino, those little weak-ass Soul Reapers, and I can't stand Yuki because he makes Hanatsura look like Kenpachi. I'm not kidding. And they just really bothered me because they showed up, and I'm like, okay, can we get to the point where Ichigo or one of the important Soul Reapers accidentally bumps into you or something, and you're just there just to be there? But no, they had to get most of the chapter to themselves, go to the World of the Living, and at that point I was just like, come on, Kubo, come on. And of course, the hollows appear, really big-ass hollows too, look like they're on fucking steroids, and just attack them, and I'm just like, okay, Ichigo's probably going to show up and save the day. And he does. So, I guess the point of this chapter, the point of that section was just to establish Ichigo coming into play. And it kind of bothered me at first, but I lived because Ichigo kicked ass, and, I assumed that next chapter, that was going to be it for Yuki and Shino. No, it was not it for Yuki and Shino. They show up, Yuki wakes up in Ichigo's bed like, would you save me? Yeah, I saved you. Stop flipping out about it like I'm the killer who tried to kill you or something. And, Shino shows up with soda and other bullshit, so I guess she's been awake. And apparently he had been unconscious for a few days, which I don't know why they didn't take his ass back to Soul Society and some other stupid shit. But anyway, skipping all that, Yvonne shows up, which is this, I want to say a Arrancar Quincy hybrid, because he has a mask like an Arrancar, and he just shows up, right, on Ichigo's bed, just out of nowhere, and I'm just like, oh shit, shit's gonna happen. No, next chapter, and I was really stoked for the next chapter, wondering what was gonna happen. Was he just gonna be like, I'm Yvonne, the entire house blows up, and Ichigo's in Soul Reaper form, or Shinigami form, or whatever? But no, Ichigo just gives him a kick in human form, and I can understand because he has tremendous strength from all the training, like for example in the Dongai, but god damn, I mean, it was ridiculous. He just kicks him like it was nothing, and I'm like, Was that a comedic kick or a serious kick? And he just happened to be really strong at that point. And then you got Uryu and Chad like, we'll come after we finish eating this bread, and Chad's face is all like, and it's all whatever. And I was just kind of pissed, like, great, we had a real plot development right here, and you just ruined it for a comedic effect. And I like the comedic effects in Bleach, but I much prefer plot development, and they really needed to impress me with what happened with the Fullbring arc. So that kind of pissed me off. So Ichigo shows up right in front of Yvonne, like, in Soul Reaper form, by the way. Like, oh, are you here to take revenge on Aizen, blah, 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 wrong car. He gets pissed, like, I'm not in the wrong car. Like, that's offensive or whatever. And he has a mask, that didn't make any damn sense. But he drops a Quincy Pentacle. And at that point, I'm like, oh, damn. What's going on here? And I'm wondering, does this guy... I didn't assume then that the Quincy's were the main enemy. I just assumed that he was a Quincy. I didn't know if he was responsible for the disappearances of the souls in the Rukon district, or the disappearance of Hollows in, I suppose, Wakamundo. But, you know, that was just like, okay, he's a Quincy, fucking badass, but why does he have the mask? Is it just for decoration? That's what I thought after he pulled out the pentacle. But he swears he's not in the wrong car. So he's shooting arrows at Ichigo and whatnot, and it's fucking beast. Like this big-ass gauntlet-looking bow thing, and it just shoots out. There's like these pipe protrusions that just shoot out. And Ichigo's dodging and whatnot. And meanwhile, you have in the Seirete, you have Yamamoto discussing something about, I guess, about the Hollow disappearances. And eventually, you just hear this scream, or you see this scream, because you see the on the titles of the comic. And you find out that Chojiro had been impaled by what looks like to be this ridiculously long lance. And standing right behind Yamamoto are a group of about 7 what appear to be Quincy's, because I noticed the garb that they were wearing was very similar to what Uryu was wearing, I believe, in the Soul Society arc, or something not far from it. But I was just like, they're Quincy's, aren't they? And it threw me off because he had said, the leader, who's, by the way, his name is Luders Frigen, I believe, Frigen, I'm calling him Frigen, but... And he said, in 5 days, Soul Society will be invaded by the Vondenreich. Now, 2 things happened the moment I read that bubble. One, I was like, oh shit, this arc is amazing. It's starting out amazing because 7 individuals who are clearly hostile snuck into the head captain's office, snuck into the Soul Society. How they managed to get into Soul Society without attracting any attention or setting off the barrier that's surrounding it, even from below, as you know, and managing to get into the head captain's office and slay the lieutenant of the 1st Division is pretty awesome, pretty formidable opponents, and that just made me go, wow, this arc is already starting amazing. These guys they're not playing, they mean business. And the second thing that made me think about it was, okay, they're called the Vondenreich. Does that mean they're not Quincy's, or is that just the Quincy's group's name? So, yeah. I'm going to cut this video short because on my other channel, I have the ability to upload videos as long as I want, but not on this one because you have to give a cell phone number, and I don't currently have one. So, yeah, I don't remember the confirmation code, whatever. So I'm going to cut this short right now, and I'll do part 2 in just a moment.